This is Allison C. Rollins. Welcome to my Play Portfolio number 3. For this portfolio, I read an ebook using the St. Louis County Library's OverDrive function. I am a high school librarian and I'm contemplating getting OverDrive for our school to use for students to be able to read ebooks on their MacBook Airs that they have provided by the high school. So I first went to slcl.overdrive.com, and this allowed me to see all of the various ebooks available and to search for ebooks. I read a YA book. I'll show you what's checked out on my account currently. That's where you go to get to the books. You go to loans. And I read I'll Be There by Holly Goldberg Sloan. I chose this book because I've read Counting by Sevens before and recommended it to a sophomore student at the high school where I work, and she really loved it. So I was moving on to another one by that same author I wanted to try that we do not currently have a physical copy of in the library. So what I like about OverDrive is I have the ability to, if students have a card at the county library, I have the ability to suggest that they use their computer even if they don't have a Kindle or some type of other reader device. I have the ability to suggest to them to borrow the book online, and they can read it right on their computer, and they can read it immediately. So I'll show you and I'll Be There. I click on it, and I think I click Go to Loans, and then Read in Browser. So what I love about the ebook, which I initially thought I wasn't going to be a fan of ebooks, I'm kind of old school, I really prefer the actual physical text. But for students, it's great because what I learned was I have one student, for example, that actually has dyslexia, and it's great in your ability to change the reading settings. So here on the left, they actually have a font option called Open Dyslexic. And that uses the Open Dyslexic font to increase the readability of text for readers with dyslexia. So I thought that was absolutely amazing and makes it a lot more accessible for those students that have particular needs. Then I could play around with the font style. I could play around with the font size. So all of those were great. Great pros to being able to have this in a digital online format that you wouldn't have if you just had a paper book copy at the library. What I also liked was the search function. For example, I had a student who I wanted to remember. I've read this book before in a paper copy a long time ago, but I couldn't quite remember if I had read it or if I had just read excerpts. So I remember there was a scene in a church, and so I just put church and searched it, and immediately it pulls up all of the chapters where the word church appears, which is another really great function, which also encourages students to be in the text itself searching rather than trying to do a Google search or just flipping through pages on Google excerpts or on Amazon, look inside on that function on Amazon. This is a lot better in terms of them getting in tune or really getting into the text and then being able to see and search through it. I liked that I could bookmark pages. I could easily scroll through. I think I have a very heavy bias because honestly, I'm just still more so a fan of paper copies of books, but I get that this is very convenient and accessible. I also liked at the end it said, keep reading for the cinematic, suspenseful companion story to I'll Be There, Just Call My Name. So also kind of gives you suggestions or says if you enjoyed this, like there's a next one in the series. So that was an interesting function as well. And then the other book I read was She of the Mountains. I help one of the teachers at the high school. I help her to find books that incorporate mythology into contemporary fiction. And so this was a really great book that we did not have a copy of, and I really wanted to be able to let students use this one. So this was another one that I read in my browser. And also it's cool, you can rank, I guess, give it however many stars you want, but I will click read in browser. And this one was really beautiful. It has really beautiful illustrations. Maybe I can find a chapter, the beginning of a chapter, or go from the cover. I wonder sometimes if that's a little bit of a con of an ebook where you can't really get a feel for the book, see maybe the imagery as vividly as if it were in a paper copy. But I just want to show some of the visuals. So this is one, it's beautiful. This uses, I think it was Hindu mythology. And once again, this was a great way to be able to have something for students to use that is contemporary, that I might not necessarily want to buy for the library, but that they can easily access. And also it helped with group work. Some of the students had to do presentations on the fiction book that they chose, so they could easily work in pairs and view this on the computer screen. Whereas you really can't huddle with a partner around a paperback book. It's just not quite possible or conducive. So this way they could pull it up on the screen and work together, look at the images, take screenshots of the images. It's a little bit more functional for group work. So this is my play portfolio number 3. I read 2 ebooks using the OverDrive for the St. Louis County Library. I am definitely going to look into getting OverDrive for the high school where I work, and I definitely see the benefit for using this in programming, probably really in this high school setting. As I mentioned, it has some great accessories in terms of being able to change the reading settings, as I pointed out, to even a font for those students that maybe have dyslexia. It has the ability to increase the font size. It's ideal for group work. You can huddle around a screen together. I work at a laptop equipped school, so every student has a MacBook Air. So this is very convenient when every student has something that can function as an e-reader. So that concludes my play portfolio number 3. Thanks for watching.